Hello everybody, this is Tyler here once again from the OtherGames channel, and it has been quite a while since I've done one of these video game haul videos, and honestly I have two main reasons for it. Number one is the fact that the last one that I did way back, man, I think it might have been sometime in June maybe? I don't know for sure, but that one didn't really do that well compared to the first three video game haul videos I did, so I kind of took a break from the video game haul series for the time being, until now. And the second reason why I haven't done one of these in a while is because it's kind of a little bit hard to explain, but like, during the time where I was doing the video game haul videos, I was very invested into video games. That was like my main focus when it comes to doing stuff outside of YouTube and whatnot, and eventually I kind of got, I guess you could say, oversaturated by the amount of times that I was playing video games, I guess, to the point where I haven't really been playing them as much as I have that I was before, and because of that, my getting like new stuff for like video games has kind of slowed down a lot, and I've been having other hobbies outside of video games for the time being. But don't get me wrong, I do still love video games, and I still, as I brought up, do play them occasionally. Heck, I just played one of the games that I will showcase later on, not too long ago, a few days ago. So, yeah, I still love video games. It's just my interest in them has kind of been down for the time being. However, there are some new stuff coming out later this year that I'm really excited to hopefully play and get at some point. And also some stuff that have been released earlier this year that I want to get at some point. Like, I've heard some good things about Astrobot on the PS5. I want to get that at some point. Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door remake on the Switch, because I've heard from a lot of people it's like the best Paper Mario game of all time, and I want to give that a try. Like, the kind of games that I want to get and own and play is still a pretty big list, so there are still a lot of games down the line that I would love to play and own at some point, but yeah, for the time being, it's just kind of at a halt for the time being. I will go back to this at some point, and depending on how the next few months go, I will do another video like this as well. But just to get that huge disclaimer out of the way about why I've been on a break when it comes to the video game hauls. Now time to actually show you the stuff that I've gotten ever since my last haul video. So, haven't gotten that much. I've only gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 video games since then. So it's going to be probably a bit of a shorter video. Probably not because of how long that intro was. But I will go in order from oldest video game console to newest video game console. I'll start off with the Super Nintendo. Weirdly enough, I finally got Super Mario World. I believe I probably got it for like 15 to 20 bucks from eBay. Which is a pretty, I guess, average price for the game, I would say, in terms of physical copies. Some people have probably gotten it cheaper, but here's my copy of Mario World, my favorite 2D Mario game prior to Super Mario Bros. Wonder. So, yeah, weirdly enough, this wasn't my first Super Nintendo game that I got physically, as you've seen in my previous videos, but yeah, finally got that. And then one N64 game that I got is one that I've been interested in trying for a while, because I really liked the first game that was on the Super Nintendo, and I got to try out its sequel, Star Fox 64. Now, this, of course, as everybody probably knows, wasn't meant to be the sequel to Star Fox 64. They made an actual Star Fox 2 for the Super Nintendo, but they stopped production on it because the N64 was being made, and they wanted to focus on stuff for that console, so that's why Star Fox 2 got canceled, before they eventually released it to the public on the Super Nintendo Mini Console, which I would like to get that at some point. And it's also available to play for Switch Online members, so there's that. Star Fox 2 did eventually happen, but prior to that, this was technically Star Fox's successor, Star Fox 64. So I did try this game out a little bit. It's really interesting, just like the first one. And it's funny how both of those Star Fox games like don't have save features. Like that always surprised me about these games is that there's no way to save them. Like they're kind of meant to be like classic arcade shooters, I guess, when you really think about it, or arcade. What is it? Rail and gun? I think is the type of game that Star Fox is meant to play as. I'm not sure, but nice game. I like it. All right, moving on to the PS2. Yes, this is probably the first time I've showcased a PS2 game on this series. I think? I don't know for sure. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but this is one of the first PS2 games that I've showcased on the Video Game Hall series, and it's a pretty big one. And there actually is a remake of this coming out very, very soon for the PS5, which, weirdly enough, I might get as well, just to see what that's like. But I do have the OG Silent Hill 2 on the PS2, and yeah. While thankfully this game wasn't as pricey as the first Silent Hill, probably because this one, unlike the first Silent Hill, this one actually was released on more than one console. Like there's also an Xbox version of this as well. So yeah, I got the PS2 version just to be consistent with the first Silent Hill, so there's that. Just to give you a brief look at the cover, spine of that, and the back. And I played a portion of it so far, and it's really, really cool. Gameplay-wise, the one thing that kind of disappointed me about this game compared to the first one is it has the same, like, bad walking controls. If any of you guys have played Silent Hill, like, the walking controls suck. And Silent Hill 2 suffers from that as well, but I kind of like everything else about it. I don't think it's as, like, difficult from what I've played compared to Silent Hill 1. But that's probably because I've gotten used to, like, the gameplay, so that's probably why. Anyways, there's a look at the disc and the manual that I got. So, yeah, that was Silent Hill 2. And moving on to the PS4, I do got some PS4 stuff, and a few of these games were, yeah, they were almost up there at, like, Silent Hill 2 levels of pricey. And it's funny, because, like, these games you can get digitally on the PS4 store for, like, a decent price. However, Limited Run Games, which for anybody who doesn't know is a company that releases limited physical copies of video games, they did limited physical copies of these games a couple years ago, and they have since been sold out, and they go for quite a good amount on eBay. But yeah, I've gotten 3 of these games in the trilogy, and I'm sure you guys probably know which ones I'm talking about. It's the Jak and Daxter series. Yes, I got physical copies of the PS4 versions of the Jak and Daxter games that were originally on the PS2. So, I just wanted to get these since these were the, I guess, the most recent editions of those games, and I wanted to get physical copies of those on what's kind of objectively the best console of the bunch, you know, compared to the PS3 and the PS2. Like, I know it's subjective when it comes to what people think is better, I guess you can really say, but I would say objectively in terms of, like, graphics and stuff like that, and, like, presentation, and I guess to a certain extent gameplay, like, PS4 is probably kind of beats PS3 and PS2 out of the water when it comes to that. But I do personally still love the PS2 more than the PS4 for nostalgia reasons, but that's besides the point. And here's a look at Jak 2 as well. Now, I haven't really talked about my opinions on these games. I have finished the first 2, Jak and Daxter's. I love Jak and Daxter 1. Jak 2 is decent and all. I know some of the things that people tend to, like, nitpick this game on nowadays is the darker tone that they went with, which doesn't bother me as much as it bothers some people. But the thing that bothers me more about Jak 2 compared to Jak 1 is how insanely difficult this game was compared to its predecessor, or its precursor, I guess we could say. No pun intended. But there's that. And then one that I am currently in the process of playing, slowly but surely, Jak 3, the final main Jak and Daxter game made by Naughty Dog. I know they also made the racing game, Jack X Combat Racing, which, funny enough, also has a limited physical PS4 copy, which I will get at some point in the future. So, yeah. Now, in addition to these regular physical copies, they've also done, like collector's editions where they come in, like, these little... Not little, these big boxes that contain, like, extra items, like CDs, soundtracks, and collectible items based on the games, and art books. I think there are art books included in here as well, and it's really interesting. But seeing that I'm, like, just new to the Jak and Daxter franchise, I've just gotten the regular physical copies of the PS4 versions of the Jak and Daxter trilogy, and I will eventually get Jak X at some point. Really funny how Jak and Daxter went a similar route to Crash Bandicoot, another previously made by Naughty Dog franchise. 3 platformer games. Well, Jak and Daxter, you can kind of debate about whether that franchise is a platformer with 2 and 3, but that's besides the point. And then the last game made by their companies were a racing game, so it's really funny how they went similar routes, except Crash Bandicoot was consistent with its gameplay, while Jak and Daxter just went all over the place. Somebody did a really good video about the, I guess, existential crisis of the Jak and Daxter franchise. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about, but look up Jak and Daxter Crisis on YouTube. You could probably find it, but yeah, it's a really good video documenting how Jak and Daxter kind of went all sorts of directions with its games, but yeah. A really good series of games from what I've played. The first one's probably my favorite because I love classic platformers. Jak 2's hard as heck. Jak 3's okay from what I played so far. Not that bad compared to Jak 2, but yeah. Not saying Jak 2 is a bad game, just holy moly, just really difficult. Like, prepare yourself if you're ever going to play Jak 2, if you haven't played so already. But that was the amount of stuff that I've gotten ever since my last video game haul video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. To recap, I've gotten Star Fox 64 for the N64, Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo, the Jak and Daxter physical releases on the PS4, limited by the way, and of course Silent Hill 2 on the PS2. So that was the stuff I showcased today. I will eventually do another video game haul sometime, probably either at the end of this year or the beginning of next year. I'm going to do these, like, probably once per season. Like, this is the start of fall, and I'll probably do... The next one will probably be the start of winter, which will probably be either late December or early January. So, it'll be a while until I do this video again, but I was going to ask, like, oh, hey, you guys want to see this become a recurring thing? But as I mentioned before, my hobby for video game collecting is kind of, like, at the moment, but I will go back to doing it at some point once my interest comes back, because they will come back at some point. A lot of my interests and hobbies will come back at some point. Like, for example, my interest in finishing up some collections of my blind box minifigures. Like, I've been trying to get some of those complete over time. Like, I got the Cuphead ones over here. You guys saw me do a recent video about these Disney Princess ones from Funko, but I have all but one figure in that set, so I'll eventually do a video about the full set for that series. Cuphead will be a while because, well, it's the Cuphead Mystery Minis. They're about as hard to collect as the game itself is hard. All that rambling out of the way, hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more nerdy content to come on this channel. This is Tyler from the OtherGames channel, signing out.